Sup Ninjas, Mon here. What if cheap leads actually hurt your business? Now, if you don't know me, my name is Mon Agner. I'm the CEO and founder of Monaroa Digital Marketing, and we've been helping a lot of real estate sellers close deals from Meta Ads. And these are all of the companies that we've helped, and we've already done over 10 billion in aggregate sales across our students and clients. And we're the only ones who've been able to do 9 figures under a month just for a single real estate seller. And we've done that 4 times. And right now, we're sharing all of these systems to other lead gen industries so that you guys can also copy this system for your business. Now, in this video, we're going to break down exactly why cheap leads can cost you more and which numbers you should actually be measuring, and how to tell if your ads are actually generating real buyers or just more useless sales activities. So, in our opinion, here's what you should really do. Okay. So, you need to stop going for the cheapest leads possible. All right. So, 100 pesos lead or less is not automatically better than a 500 pesos cost per lead. So, a lead only means a completed transaction. It does not mean that they're qualified enough to buy, right? So, some prioritize quantity over quality, and that just means that they have a lot of cheap leads and that they have to simply get through each single one of them. And it wastes a lot of time if they just simply don't reply or they're not really qualified and they don't buy. Okay. So you're just creating more busy work, right? And sometimes they also blame the ads too quickly, right? Sometimes the leads themselves aren't the problem. So the slow replies, the weak follow-up, the no CRM tracking, or and also poor appointment reminders can make good leads actually look bad. All right. So let me just show you what we're working with. So this was one of our results. So 421 million pesos for just 2,500 in ad spend. And let me just go ahead and tell you that we only got 2 leads out of this campaign right here. And so that would make the cost per lead insanely expensive. So it's around 1,250 if you just kind of divide this number by 2, right? So 1,200 pesos cost per lead is something that people would not be willing to pay for, right? If they start to say, it's already expensive, it's 1,000 pesos, like my campaign is bad, all right? Since the lead was high quality, they were able to close this fast and just for that amount, right? So if you're only optimizing for cheap leads, then you might start filling your pipeline with the wrong people. So with that said, let's get into the lesson. So first, why cost per lead is misleading. So I want you to go ahead and check out this campaign rate. So campaign A got 200 leads while campaign B only got 50 leads. Hence, the cost per lead here is cheaper than here. But here's where the difference starts to happen, right? 80 out of the 200 never reply. Only 10 never reply right here. And then the 60 were unqualified and 30 were only curious, but basically they have like 40 reply here and 30 are qualified, and let's say they have the same amount of booked appointments, right? But because there's a lot more friction right here and a lot more qualified people that went through here, we're able to get a lot more show ups than campaign A, which allows campaign B to close a lot more customers than campaign A, right? So you can start to see from these campaigns right here which one actually is starting to become a lot more expensive, all right? And this is why you should never trust the first level of measurement on your cost per lead, all right? Because you don't really know the rest of the story after the lead has been generated, right? So you really need to work on a lot of the stuff. So you really have to double check what you are trying to actually do right here, okay? So let's go to part 2. So what you guys should be measuring instead of just cost per lead, right? So we're gonna go back here, okay? So this is the full customer acquisition system right here. And if you're trying to just measure, if you're just trying to measure the cost per lead, you're only trying to work right here, okay? And it's not continuing all over. It's just forgetting the rest of these parts right here, okay? These are the numbers that you should be measuring instead of just the cost per lead, all right? So this is how it now looks like if we try to get all of the contact rate, qualification rate, booking rate, show up rate, close rate, and the customer acquisition cost, right? Or CAC for short, okay? So here's campaign A and here's campaign B. So campaign A right here, they both have 20,000 pesos on ad spend, all right? And because of this, like 200 leads, only 40 reply, 80 never reply. So that's why we have this much contact rate. So we're able to contact a lot more people reply over here than here. Next, we have our qualification rate. So 75% of the people here are actually qualified, 25% aren't. So we have a lot more unqualified people right here. And then since we have 20 booked appointments here and 20 booked appointments here, we have the same amount of booking rate right here. Now, since 16 people showed up here, 10 people showed up here, we get our show up rate right here. And then our close rate, this is just about 10%. Right here, we've got about 31%. And then that just brings down our actual customer acquisition cost after everything down to just 4,000 pesos cost per acquisition. So now you know that with your numbers right here, if you continuously spend 4,000 pesos, you are able to get a customer out of this, okay? And that's with the more expensive cost per lead. So now cost per lead right here, campaign A is cheaper, but the customer acquisition cost is so insane. That's where a lot of business owners miss out on, okay? So they're not able to measure all the rest of this stuff right here. And so they get lost in the world of trying to measure your performance. So those are the numbers that you should be looking out for, right? Now let's move on to part 3, the hidden cost of cheap leads, all right? So cheap leads create several costs that do not appear inside of Ads Manager, right? So aside from these costs right here, we also have these, all right? So one, they waste your time, right? And they waste your time because you have to go through and answer all of those leads, and some of them don't really even qualify. They just take up too much time in trying to put a lot of different notes inside of your CRM. So yeah, and because you work with a lot of unqualified leads, then it just lowers the overall team morale. All right. So if your sales teams are working on this, heck, even maybe your marketing team, if they're actually concerned about lead quality, then that just, lowers the overall team morale. Or if this is you just working yourself, then your morale might be down as well. And well, it distorts your reports because if you're not already using this type of measurement right here, you're only trying to measure the cost per lead right here, you'll never get to find out what your customer acquisition cost is, which is very important. So that's the hidden cost of cheap leads. So let's go here to how cheap leads actually train the algorithm, right? So basically, Meta is very good at finding people who are likely to complete the conversion event that you give it, right? This is if you're using the leads or sales campaign and you're trying to pass them through a website, you have like a pixel event that you select, right? But most of the times it's just trying to tell Meta, find me people who will submit this form, right? And Meta will just pretty much find more people who will keep on submitting forms, right? But that does not necessarily mean that they're likely to become customers, all right? So the more people that just submit forms, the more low quality people that just submit forms, then you're just kind of telling the algorithm that yes, I want more of these people. I want more of these people right here. And you just keep giving me those low quality leads. So that's kind of how it works when you try to train the algorithm through cheap leads. So instead, what you should be trying to do is you should try to teach the algorithm based on the actual last conversion unit, right? So it should be on the purchase event, right? All right, so that's what happens to the algorithm if you try to train it like that. All right, so now let's cover why cheap leads happen. All right, so just four simple things. First, your message is too broad. If your messaging and your creatives and your copy is just way too broad, then you're not really targeting the buyer that you want right there. So you need to fix that part right there. And we've already covered how to do this in another video, and we'll link it in the description below. Next, the ad relies too much on curiosity. What does relying too much on curiosity mean? So this actually connects to this first one. The message is too broad. So there are going to be times where other business owners or marketers would try to write ads that just makes people curious about a lot of things inside of your ad, but it does not give enough amount of information for them to really know what the ad is about, what the business is about, and what they're trying to offer, right? So in some cases, all right, you start to get leads that don't know why they booked in the first place, okay? And that's just because they were hyped or they were kind of curious on something, but they weren't really even clear on what the ad or the offer is about, all right? So just pretty much make sure that your messaging is really, really dialed in. And that answers both one and two right here. Okay. Next is the form is too easy. So if you're not adding specific qualifying questions on your form, so let's say for example, let's say for example, you're either doing a lead form or a chatbot. If you have few easy questions, of course you'll get a lot more leads out of that, but you're not really getting all of the qualified leads that you want to get in the first place. So you need to add more questions onto your form or onto your chatbot. All right. So the next part is the creative attracts the wrong mindset. All right. So this still pretty much connects to the one that I said here. The message is too broad, ad relies too much on curiosity. So it's just pretty much attracting the wrong type of audience. That's why we have to keep being specific on what our ad will look like, both for the creative and also for the copy. So that's what you should also be working on in your ad. All right. So let's move on to part 6, where you should not automatically blame the leads. All right. Because let's just go back here. All right. What if the leads are already actually good? All right. So you've done this part and they're good. They're good quality, but you're not able to work on this part right here, which tells them that the leads are bad, even if they're actually good. It's just because the salespeople didn't really work on this part right here. Okay. So again, just make sure that you're improving. Well, first you're measuring these things again. And then once you measure these things and you have comparisons on it, that's where you can go ahead and get started on improving the things that you need to improve. All right. So don't be blind on this stuff. You need to work on this stuff, on measuring this, because you can't improve what you don't measure, right? So that's for part 6. And lastly, for part 7, how we can improve your lead quality. So let's say you're sold on the part that, okay, Mon, I'm going to focus now on quality, not only on quantity. What do we do? All right, just do this. Again, what I just kept saying earlier, just make your message more specific. All right. Align the ad with the sales conversation. All right. So you're going to use ad angles that makes it easy for the lead to get straight to the sales conversation. Right. Add intelligent qualification. All right. That's just adding like smarter questions inside of your forms. Next, improve the speed to lead, improve follow up, track every stage inside a CRM, and track your numbers. All right. So just do these parts right here, exactly what I just said right here over here on part 6. And that's going to be how you improve your lead quality by a lot. It's just by making sure that you really have good ads, you have a good filter, and you working the leads. All right. And yeah, that's basically how to improve the lead quality. So let's just go back onto this case study right here. Yeah, you can definitely see some bullet points right here. We ran this on Ghost Month, and this was for a very expensive and prestigious project right here. And other marketers would think that we need to do a lot of campaigns, to build awareness so that we can get cheap leads. But no, we just went straight for it. It was the fastest way that we can generate leads right now. The most qualified leads that our client, the seller, can work with right now is just like pumping out like simple image ads. We didn't really even bother doing videos on this, all right? So just simple image ads, and that was enough to track the right buyer, right? Because we're just going back to here, we're just trying to make the ad align with the sales conversation, and we're trying to make it real specific. So we've really pretty much dialed in like who is the avatar for the project that we're trying to sell here, and voila, our client was actually really on it with the leads, particularly because there were few leads. There were just two leads, so it was a lot easier for the client to just work on it. And yeah, we basically able to get them the lead that they wanted, that they needed, and boom, that was the result, right? So to summarize everything, here's just the entire lesson in a few words, right? So cheap leads do not automatically mean that they are profitable leads, all right? So cost per lead, it only tells you how much you paid for the first inquiry, all right? It does not tell the rest of the story, right? It doesn't tell you if the person actually replied, or are they qualified, or did they book, did they show up, or did they actually buy from it. It does not tell you that. The cost per lead does not define all of those things, all right? So if you start to track the full system, like what's shown right here, you're going to be able to really optimize for this number right here. And it's going to make it a lot easier for you in the long run. It's going to help you find the most profitable way to get a client, okay? So if you want to learn more about our 8 to 9 figure lead generation system, you can check out our school community right here, and it's going to be linked down in the description. And if you're interested in getting our team to do the system for you, just go ahead and go to our website, book a growth systems audit call right here, and we'll go ahead and see you in that call. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out this video right here to see why your meta ads aren't the problem. Your system is.